Let me hear you say Crux, yeah. Crux, yeah. Let me hear you say Crux, yeah. Crux, yeah. Crux, yeah, podcast.
Crux proper.
Right? Crux, yeah. Here we are, man. Another
yeah.
day, another episode. Getting everything all calibrated with all my cameras and all the fucking big boy version shit, just like I was talking about before. Here with my boy Mike Tribby. What's going on, man?
What's happening, man? I feel like, are we gonna do like some panning off to each camera? Do I need to?
No, you
Get
don't.
some nice
You don't
shots
need to
in
do
there.
anything, dude. I'll take
Gotta
care
be
of it
like
all.
The Office in here.
I know it's weird, right? Fucking give some gym looks, like.
Yeah, you know, I got as the angles right. You know, got the lighting. I like the setup you got in here, man.
It's coming together. It's coming together, man. I've like long term over time, if you watch all the videos, because like I did some basic ass like video on my phone for the first couple episodes. Sometimes I would use it, sometimes I didn't. I did a couple solo episodes just to keep up like the release dates and like to keep up the release rhythm, because sometimes I would have guests that I couldn't get in time or would cancel. So the ones that are video, you'll see the evolution over time, dude. Because literally, I had fucking Jacob Marshall. I had who else? A bunch of fucking people. Jordan Mack, like a bunch of people, like where I would go to their place to do it because I didn't have anything set up in here, or I just had literally 2 fucking chairs in here, and that's it. Nothing going on.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You know.
So like I've been putting it all together. Now I got the sign. Now I got fucking everything coming together. The last things that I need to do are, I guess I got to mount this weekend. I'm going to mount this TV up there so we can actually, if you come back, if I have you back next year, then you can review clips. You know what I mean? Like we review funny clips or fucked up clips or reference shit. We can all look here and watch and talk about it. I got to get one more SM7B mic so I can actually have, if I have 2 people, because I had Paul Smith and Casey on here. And like they had to like go back and forth.
Swinging the mic.
Yeah.
Around. Well, I mean, it's a pretty good mic stand, so it's not.
Yeah.
It's doable. You know.
Well, that was before I had this. I had to use my normal like regular like music microphone stands. These are also a new addition. But anyway, I fucking that's the last step, and then I just need to put more of my my sound padding on the foam and shit. I need to put it in a couple places, because if you listen to the audio, if you want to be like a snob about it, you know what I mean? Like I know only so many people care, but like I care when I listen.
Yeah, you're gonna care the most.
You can hear a little echo.
Yep.
So I want to make sure that I put it on some of the corners and towards the ceiling. And that's going to be it. So TV, mounting it, and then some more soundproof.
The whole thing.
And that's it. Yeah. Then I'll be good to go.
You're halfway there.
Yeah. I'm going to decide over time. Like, obviously, I'm doing a table right now, but I need to decide if I want to do chairs. I might want to do chairs and have a little, like, side table that I mount the mic arms to. Yeah. So whatever. I'm going to have to feel it out over time. You know what I mean?
It's funny. I set up, sometimes when I have guests, we'll do the interview on the couch.
Yeah.
But I have a leather couch.
Uh-huh.
And the thing that irritates the hell out of me is
that
when I'm
fucking
editing,
sound.
you can hear, you'll hear them just moving around.
Yeah.
I'm just like, nah, man, be still.
Yeah.
Don't move at all.
Yeah, dude. No, for sure. I can't watch porn like that, dude. When they shoot with a leather couch,
well,
you hear the fucking sound of the leather couch.
Sweaty.
Well, even before there's any sex going on, like the sound of moving on the fucking leather couch, dude, I can't stand that shit.
Squeak.
I can't stand that shit.
I can't.
Dude.
No, next one.
I really can't, bro. I really can't. I can't stand it when someone's wearing a leather jacket in a movie or something, and if they don't, obviously a professional movie, they're gonna kind of make sure that's minimized. But like anything that's like more just like regular video, and somebody has a leather jacket, and it's like, I can't fucking stand that, bro.
So the set of the
I don't know what's wrong with me.
Like you just
that's bro. It, right? They don't ever really. You don't hear it. You know what I'm saying? But if it's like, I don't know, if it's something that's more where you can hear it, if maybe it's like an interview or a documentary or something, and someone's wearing a fucking leather jacket, god damn, dude, I can't.
Well, you got to look good for the camera, so you understand it. But yeah, I don't really notice that. The leather.
Well,
that's not.
That's my weird thing.
Yeah.
I admit that's a weird thing. That's not normal. Everybody's got their little chewing.
I cannot stand it
when someone's on the phone or what.
At all, ever.
Like when someone smacks, like when they eat.
If I ever hear any motion of a chew, it doesn't matter. The lip smack, the teeth grind, anything. Like I just, it bugs me to my core. I don't know what it is, and it's It's really because I know it's me. Like it's just my problem. So it sucks when I'm eating with my wife because like if we're not watching TV or something, like every bite she takes, I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like I can't stand the sound of anyone chewing. Even myself. Like if I hear myself chew, I'm like, no.
Yeah. No, I get that. I fall in and out of that being like something that's like a pet peeve or annoying to me. I can relate to that though, because sometimes it's almost like certain people that bothers me with. I don't know, but I can relate to that a little bit. But yeah, dude, what I wanted to ask you is, I know this is kind of fucking cheesy, this is kind of stupid or whatever, but I did want to ask. So you have a podcast called Always Tribbyn, right?
Yeah.
So
one of the many names I've gone through.
Okay.
But that's the one we're settled on right now.
All right.
So,
how long has that been the name?
Let's see. So I've started in June or July. I was trying to think about that on the way here because I should know these things, but I'm kind of time dumb. So I don't, it's been about 6 months ish. And so like when I originally started, it was mic'd up because I just, first name Mike, it was just easy.
Yeah.
And I was like, nobody's ever thought of this.
Right.
And then I did a couple episodes and then I was like, you know what? Maybe somebody has thought of that name.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I searched it. Sure enough, there was one that popped up right away. So I was like, all right, I need to change this.
Right.
I got to be original.
Hey, make sure that you're a little closer to them.
Oh.
Make sure it's a little closer to you. I got to pull a fucking Joe Rogan and tell you, baseball fist away from your face.
I get that all the time.
That shit. He always does that. No, it's cool, man. I just want to make sure that we can hear you. But yeah, man, what's it called? I was going to ask you that because, so obviously you change the name and all that stuff. That kind of affects my answer and makes it even more dumb, but I'm still going to ask it. So like, did you used to trip a lot? Did you take a lot of psychedelics or anything like that?
No,
I fucking felt like such a fucking bitch asking that. I'm sorry.
No, that's funny because I've always wondered like what people think of the name because the kind of the play on the name, always trippy kind of. But,
yeah.
But just me being my weird self, it's funny. I've had some fun times, but no, never. It has nothing to do with that.
Okay, so did you ever trip anything? You ever take psychedelics?
Yeah, I have taken a few psychedelics.
Yeah, what have you taken?
I took acid once.
Okay,
and I've had shrooms twice.
Okay,
and I gotta say, I definitely prefer the shrooms. Prefer it over acid any day. Like, don't do acid. Don't do it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Advice.
I can relate to that. So I don't know if you know because we haven't really talked a whole lot. But I've been sober a long time. I've been sober, in AA. I've been sober since 2004. I've been sober for a long fucking time. You know what I mean?
It is a long time.
But yeah. I used to do heroin. I used to fucking do hard drugs.
Yeah,
you know
I was actually I was listening to your episode with Joey.
Oh yeah,
just earlier today.
Yeah,
and you guys were going through that.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh man, I didn't know that until I listened to it.
Okay.
And I was like, oh okay, so that's gonna. I was like, I wonder if he drinks or anything. I was I'm not even gonna ask now. I'm gonna.
Yeah, man. So I've been sober for so long, dude. That even the thought of like, not to say I still could, which is why like I'm still sober. I'm still part of the program, of AA. I'm still sober in the program and stuff. But I don't even know, man. I've gotten so used to just being in a normal state of mind that I wouldn't think I would even like losing my sense of reality. Don't get me wrong. If I did it, then I wouldn't be able to stop. You know what I'm saying? Like if I had a drink or if I like got high on something, you know what I mean? It would be off to the races for sure. That part of me will never change, but I do love being sober. I've been sober so long, bro. I love it. The thought of me not being sober in terms of not necessarily like do I or do I not want to take a drink or to use drugs. It's more about like why would I want to be disconnected from reality? I like reality. I like being in control, like in the sense that I know what's going on.
Yeah,
you know what
being
I mean?
present and just there's a lot of power, and that's like that in some ways is better than any high because like high, that shit's fake, right? Like that's not real. That's just you going off on some shit.
Yeah.
But like being able to hold on to that, I mean that takes a lot of discipline, and that's really impressive to be since 2004.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but the thing about it is, and I'm not going to get into a whole fucking whole fucking
Yeah,
deal
you probably
about this
had it
shit
a bunch of times, right?
Oh no, I just don't want to fucking bore anybody, and I don't want to fucking get into it and shit like that, and like go on this whole fucking monologue. But long story short, the whole thing about it and the whole thing about AA and like doing all that stuff. Yeah. First of all, not everybody needs to do it. In fact, very few people need that. You know what I mean? Most people can just kind of drink when they want and not drink when they don't want to. You know what I mean? And get a little high on something, whatever that might be, when they want, and not get high when they don't want to. And that's it. That's the majority of people. You know what I'm saying? I equate it to like being allergic to like peanuts or being allergic to like strawberries or some shit, right? Because it's like, if you're allergic to peanuts, you're allergic to peanuts, and you just don't eat anything with peanuts in it. You know what I'm saying?
True. Yeah.
Can you remember the last time you had something with peanuts in it? Probably not, because you can eat peanuts, right? It doesn't bother you.
Yeah, probably every day.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But if I was deathly allergic to peanuts, I would remember the last time I had some peanuts. And I'm not even, and it's not even, I'm trying to be funny. This isn't an original idea either. This is something like that a lot of people share, like that are alcoholics and addicts and shit. So like, I'm not allergic to peanuts. So I'll have something with peanuts in it. And then when I don't want something with peanuts in it, I won't eat it. You know what I'm saying? That's how most people are with drugs and alcohol. You know what I mean? They party when they want, or they have a couple beers, and then that's it. You know what I mean? So me, I wouldn't be able to do that. You know, I wouldn't be able to just have a couple beers. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be able to just do one bump of Coke or one drag off of a fucking pipe of some weed or something. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be able to do that, or a vape pen or whatever the fuck, I wouldn't be able to do that. So anyway, the discipline, there's actually no discipline, because the whole thing is when you get sober, you surrender. You admit that you have no control. So you give that up, right? You admit you're powerless, right? So like you go, hey, I have seen through hard, cold evidence that I have no business drinking or getting high, because when I do, fuck, you know what I mean? Everything gets fucked. So I have no control, you know what I mean? So I need to surrender it to something greater than myself. You know what I mean? Some people call it God. Some people call it whatever. It doesn't have to be, though. It's not like you're like surrendering to Jesus.
Bigger than you.
Yeah, exactly. It's something bigger than yourself. So there's actually no discipline, because you don't have any control. You're saying, hey, this is beyond me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I get that point.
But I appreciate what you're saying.
But I think you're selling yourself short on that, because I come from a family where my mom, my dad, my older brother, basically everybody I knew growing up, addicted to something.
Okay.
Meth, Coke, whatever it was. And a lot of people, they'll get clean and they'll get sober for, a couple months, and then they'll think they're on top of the world. And then as soon as they get that hit, like you're saying, that first whiff, it's right back into that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So to stay away from that, I mean, that says a lot, and that takes a lot.
Well, I appreciate that. And it's come, like, there have been times where it's come, not to say come close, like in the sense where I'm like, I got a can of beer in my hand,
like
or I got a bump in my finger, or I got a needle ready to go in the vein. Not necessarily like that, but it's come, what it more is now is like my level of like discontent. Because the way it manifests, because when you get all the drugs and alcohol out of the way, like as an alcoholic or an addict, it's like, those are like the symptom of what you were doing. What's really going on is you. That's the problem. It's how you choose 100%. To react. You know what I mean? And everybody's got their own little things that set them off, or that are kind of, they call in the program character defects, but like you call it like a character flaw, or like your own little, like maybe things you need to work on or whatever.
Yeah, your trigger.
Yeah. And mine
terminology these days.
Yeah. And mine is just like I'm like a pretty type A personality, and like, so mine is like when I know that I need a meeting, or I know that I'm getting out of control in my own head, when I start thinking like, God, why is everybody so fucking stupid? You know what I mean? Like, why can't everybody just do things the way I want them to? You know what I'm saying? And when I
have that thought all the time.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's the difference, right? Because I'm crazy. I'm an alcoholic, right? So when I have those thoughts, I can go and do some fucking horrible shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To somebody, if I let those fucking get away with me and I don't have any discipline, or like not discipline's the wrong word, but if I don't recognize it, and I don't fucking remedy it,
check yourself,
pray or whatever the fuck, do something, talk to somebody, you know what I mean? Talk to my sponsor or whatever. And, so that's my thing, right? My wife is also an alcoholic, been sober for a long time. Hers is the opposite. She internalizes everything, right? So she blames herself. It's like inward kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if she doesn't like the way things are going, oh, it's me. I'm wrong. It's something wrong with me. I'm going to direct the hatred towards myself. Me, it's like, I'm going to make everybody feel like shit. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like shit right now. I need to fucking destroy everybody.
Everybody get in line right now.
Yeah, dude.
We're going down.
I need to make everybody feel horrible. So it's fucking weird, dude. But no, I appreciate it, man. And not to fucking spend a million years on this shit because we already have because of me. But like...
Hey, it's important.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Like, and it's really just a matter of like taking the action. And to summarize it, it's got very little to do with myself. You know, me like as a person, you know what I'm saying? It's more about just the practices I've learned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's really cool, man, because it's been a long fucking time. So it's like I've really proven to myself, you know, to bring like the me aspect of it is that I've proven to myself that like it's something that I really want, because you have to have, it's something you have to want.
Oh yeah,
it's not just given to you.
Yeah, you
know
can't
what I mean?
just you don't just wake up and just do it. No, you have to actually have the will.
Yeah. What's really funny, dude, is it's a lot like comedy, honestly, because you have to prove it. Because like the first year, how long have you been doing comedy?
So it's kind of funny. I started before COVID, but like I wasn't really doing it very often. I was like, you know, like maybe like 2 or 3 times a month. So I consider this my first year. Like I think I'm maybe like 6 months in. That's where I consider where I started. Did
you do? I forget. Are you from here?
No, I'm from Arizona.
Okay,
but I didn't do any. And I don't remember if I actually started at Hyenas. But I went on a vacation up to Portland just to hang out with a buddy and hit a couple open mics there. And I did one, got up. It was a decent sized crowd. And I was kind of killing it, but I was having trouble with the mic. Like I wasn't holding it close enough. I kept like putting it down.
Yeah.
Because I was walking and talking. And the guy, like somebody in the back was like, yo, talking to the mic. Like we want to hear what you're saying. And then like some other guy was like, yo, you killed what we heard. So that like boosted my ego, and I was like, I could do this, you know?
Okay. That was the first time?
Yeah, first time.
So this is pre-COVID. You went up to Portland?
Yeah.
Okay.
This was like right before COVID was a thing.
That makes sense with your Cardinals hat.
Oh,
Arizona. Yeah.
Got to represent, especially after a loss, you know?
That just happened?
Got to hold it down. Yeah, we just...
Yeah. So where in Arizona?
In Peoria. So
how far is that from Phoenix?
Basically, it's like Phoenix, Glendale, Peoria, all in one like mix.
Cool. Because what I was gonna say is the reason why I was asking you. So my music project, part of my income, my whole thing is like is We Are the Flesh. My music, my project that I'm part of now, and like me and Andre is the other guy in it, right? We both are from and used to live in LA, and then COVID we both moved. I moved here, and then he moved to Phoenix. Okay. So he lives there now. He's lived there for pretty much the whole year, 2021, and then officially. And then I've lived here since the beginning of 2021 too. So I've been over there a couple times because he got a studio out there. So sometimes we'll send files back and forth when we're writing and releasing new music. But sometimes I'll go out there and we'll just bang a bunch of shit out. You know what I mean? So I've been out to his house over there. He lives like, kind of like by like the Scottsdale area. Like Paradise Valley kind of shit. Yeah. So I've been over there. That's been my main exposure to Phoenix, other than like previous like touring and just being in town.
That's the area you want to be exposed to, right there. That's the nice, cleaner area.
Yeah.
Don't go any further south into Phoenix.
Yeah.
When you leave the airport, just go.
Just go straight there.
Yeah. No, Phoenix. It's crazy how much it's changed since because I moved here almost 7 years ago. 7 years next year, which is crazy. Because I didn't plan on moving here. I just came out here to like spend a couple weeks. And
to Dallas?
Still here.
Or like Fort Worth?
To Fort Worth. Yeah. Went to hang out with my cousin, and that turned into now I live in Texas.
Wow. So do you have extended family that's from here?
I do, but the funny thing is like we don't even like, we're not even in communication anymore.
Okay.
We don't talk.
I got you.
Yeah, he wild man.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little too wild for me. I couldn't hang.
Okay.
I couldn't do it. Yeah, so it's funny. Yeah, I don't even talk to the family I do have out here in Texas. But yeah, I've been out here 6 years, and I forgot what I was saying before that.
Like how I asked if you were from here, and then you said you came out here to kind of visit or whatever, and then you ended up. I got you, man. I was just curious. So officially you did comedy a couple times before COVID, but officially you want to say 6 months.
Yeah, I feel like I can really count the last 6 months, because like when you're doing it just like once or twice a month, you're not really doing it.
Right.
That's just you're just dipping your toes.
For sure, man. So with that being said, we've pretty much been doing it at the same time, because I started June 7th of this year. Now, in 2012, I don't count this either, because it's in terms of actually really doing stand-up comedy, doesn't mean anything. So in 2012, I went and did about 3 or 4 open mics. One was in North Hollywood that I did like 2 or 3 times, and one was in Hollywood. And I got lucky. I just kind of said some funny stuff. I had a decent. I wrote it all out and I rehearsed it 50,000 times, and I went and did it like it was like 3 minutes or some shit at the Ha Cafe in North Hollywood, and I got lucky. Like I said, I had a good little set, and this comic was in the audience, and he was like, "Hey man, like you were really funny. Do you want to do my showcase like next week or whatever?" Right, which was basically like a bar show. You know what I mean? So then I left there like, yeah, this is how it's done. Yeah, I got this.
That's a big deal.
This is easy, bro. This is easy, right? So, dude, I go and do that fucking bar show, and I eat a fucking dick, right? I fucking bomb. And I was just like, fuck this. You know what I mean? So that doesn't really count. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wouldn't count that either.
No. That was a long time ago, bro. That was 2012. So this has been the first time that I'm like constantly going 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 open mics a week, like doing well, bombing, mixing it up, learning, perfecting, like taking it seriously, doing it. So I get that. Yeah, I get that. And I'm glad I did it after COVID, because I feel like if you start right before, that would have been so weird. A lot of people, that happened to a lot of people.
Yeah, because you think like you're about to get in a groove, and then you can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And it was so weird. And it's funny because the first time I did it too, like I thought, I was like, oh, I can kill this. Because I wrote that set right before. I sat down, wrote it, went up and did it. So I was like, oh, I can do it. The next 2, I think I did 2 or 3 more open mics while I was out there. Bombed everyone. Bombed everyone. Maybe got like 1 or 2 chuckles. But
yeah. Are you recording all your sets and shit?
I do. And I need to be better about listening to them. Because I'll record them all, and then I won't like listen to them, and then I'll go and listen to them after like a few weeks, and I realize like I'm just saying the same joke over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, you had so much more material to work on, but you just kept falling back to it because you're not paying attention.
Yeah. So I need to start recording more. Like I've video recorded a couple. Like I did a comedy competition in Baltimore in September. And I made it to the final 4, but everybody was from Baltimore, and it was all by making it to the final 4 was judges, and then the rest was by applause. And I didn't care, bro, because when I made it, I was happy I made it to the final 4.
Oh yeah, just advancing. Like,
dude, I knew I was gonna lose because everybody was from Baltimore. You know what I mean? So like, I didn't even care. I lost immediately to the guy that I was quote unquote battling for 3rd place with. Like he won by applause over me, and that was it. I was fine. I was just happy I made it that far. And my real point was it was like 100 people, so like I got to get some nice footage. You know what I mean? So I recorded that set. I need to like, because a lot of people that we know, they record pretty much every set they do, at least audio. And I really need to start doing that. I didn't see a lot of value in the beginning because I was like, well, dude, I want to make sure I say some shit that's like, I want to see if I can come up with some stuff that's funny. So now that I have stuff that I know does well, I need to start recording some new stuff, the new stuff that I try, because otherwise I kind of forget, what really worked and all that shit.
Like, you don't want to be with one trick pony,
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah. So I got to fucking work on that shit. But and back to the fucking psychedelics, dude. So you did shrooms and you did acid. That's cool, man. So back in the day, I did a bunch of fucking mushrooms, dude. And I did acid a couple times. I agree with you. I always enjoyed myself more when I did shrooms.
Yeah, it's just there's something about the natural aspect about it that I appreciate. You know, all this any drug that you have to like create. I just I'm like pass. You know.
Right.
Give me the stuff that came out of the ground.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that.
Like heroin.
Not you gotta process it a little bit.
Yeah,
you know?
true. It's true.
There are some steps. Once there's more than 3 steps, you know, it's too far removed.
No, it's true.
You know,
it's true, dude. I had one of the best. I still remember this. So the last time I did shrooms wasn't fun because I'd smoked crack for the first time the night before.
Yeah.
So I took shrooms the next day and I was just wandering around like, you're just a miserable crackhead, bro. You're a fucking worthless crackhead. And it was such a bad trip. It was so weird. But I would say it was the second or third time I did shrooms in high school. I had one of the best nights in high school on shrooms, at least that I can remember, because I got fucked up a lot, you know what I mean, in those years. But dude, it was like a Friday night. My friend's parents were out of town. He was having a bunch of dudes over. There were these girls that I met that were hanging out at his house. I fucking got one of their numbers. She was really hot. They had to go do something, but like I got her number. And like we were gonna fucking hang out, so that was cool. It was like the kind of like possibilities of the future and shit. And then we took the shrooms. We were watching Rocky 3. That's the Russian one, right? That's the one with Dolph Lundgren.
Think so.
Okay, we watched that. We went to the fucking grocery store. It was all bright. We're looking at the fruit. We went and looked at the meat section. It was like pig's feet for sale, and we were like, it's fucking human flesh. It was fun, dude. That was a fun night, and I still remember that.
That's crazy.
I still remember that because that's how good the shrooms were. That's how good that experience was that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so. I don't think I've really actually gone out when I've taken shrooms. Kind of just, stayed at home.
Going out's intense. Myself.
It is. See, in high school, we used to do Ecstasy. We never did any shrooms.
Okay.
At least I never was invited for the shrooms.
Yeah. But
the Ecstasy, and I always kind of held out on it because I'm not really like a huge pill guy.
Yeah.
But there was one weekend where I was like, this is the weekend. Like, fuck it, I got nothing to do. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
I don't got to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I remember that first night, it was me and 2 of my friends. We each popped a pill, and we started just walking around the whole town, just tripping. Everything looked cool. Everything looked nice.
Yeah.
And it was funny because we were at a party earlier that night that got broken up, and cops came. We all scattered, and as we're walking down the street, a cop car pulls up on us, and I'm tripping. Like I am. I'm out of my mind. This is my first time ever doing it. My friends have done it a few times, so in my dumb mind, I jump and I try to hide behind my friend, who's way skinnier than me, like half my size. And I'm just standing there thinking like, okay, he can't see me. I'm good. Everything's fine. And he stops and he rolls down his window and he goes, hey, what are you kids doing out here? I'm like, oh, we're just going home. They're talking to him. And then he goes, hey, didn't I see you at a party earlier? And they both say no. And they're like, no, your friend behind you. And immediately I'm like, shit, he can see me. Like I'm just like, I was like, how did this not work?
Shit. Yeah.
And then luckily the cop was cool. He's just like, get your dumb asses home. Like, get out of here. It was like midnight. We're just walking down the street. Like, get the hell home,
Yeah.
And then that was a wild weekend because I did it again the next night because I didn't have anything else to do. And then I did it again that following night. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, my first experience with Ecstasy. That was a wild weekend, man.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. The problem with Ecstasy, so I only did it once, and in that same time period, that same teenage period, teenage period. That doesn't sound good. That whole period of time, that whole teenage era, right?
High school.
Yeah,
high school.
Yeah, not teenage menstruation, but
no.
So, the fucking hangover from Ecstasy is so bad. You're so depressed.
You don't feel right for like days.
All your shit's depleted.
Yeah.
All your dopamine, your serotonin, all that shit's all gone.
Because when you're on it though, you're the happiest motherfucker in the world.
Oh, it's intense, dude. It's intense, man. I remember, I did the stupidest, most unexciting shit when I did it too, man. I was living at my dad's girlfriend's house specifically at the time, and it was fucking weird because they were split up already. But my dad, because like my dad wouldn't work, so like he wouldn't get a job. So she finally, like after so long of putting up with it, she like basically kicked him out because it was her house. But they'd been together for like years. So like, and I was like 17. So she was kind of like, she knew me really well. She's like, you can stay. This is weird for you, because I was living with them at the time. And then she's like, you can stay here till you figure, you know, you can stay here just for the immediate future, just till whenever, till you figure something out. We'll figure out what you're going to do, etc. You can just stay here till whenever. So he was gone. This is late at night. I got friends over coming out. We're hanging out in the garage. That's kind of where like I had everything set up out there. And dude, like it was the most uneventful shit. Dude, I took ecstasy and my other friend didn't. And we sat there and watched fucking like Fear Factor and like Joe. Do you remember Joe Millionaire? Do you remember that fucking show? I watched an episode of Joe Millionaire and half an episode of Fear Factor, right? This is fucking 2003. So like, and then we sat there and watched that shit, and then maybe like flipped through MTV a little bit, and that was it, dude. Like
that's the whole night.
Then he left, right? Because you're high for a long time.
Yeah, you're not
right?
going to sleep.
So this was like the first couple hours, you know. And me and him had just gotten into a fight over some dumb shit. Like me and him and my other friend got into a fight about like a fucking bag of weed or something, dividing it up. It was some bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So like we weren't on good terms, and I decided to take this fucking ecstasy pill. So then I started getting getting real high. I still remember I saw a Pizza Hut commercial that came on, and like the commercial was somehow had like crazy hair in it, and it just that was the moment like it started to really get high, and it was like, oh, the hair, whoop. And then I was like looking at him because everything was getting really intense, and I was like, hey man, we're cool, right? Like we're friends, right? And he was like, yeah, I guess, dude. I don't know, you know, because we're still, but we did this little bullshit weed fight, me and him and this other dude, our friend of ours that left. So he's like not in a good mood, right? But he's been on tons of drugs. He's done tons of psychedelics. So he knows what it's like to be like coming up or tripping.
Yeah.
So he was like
friendly.
sitting there, and he had this like shitty look on his face, and he's like, and I'm like, yeah, but dude, you gotta help me out, man. I'm starting to get really high right now, dude. I need your help, man. You're my friend. You're my buddy. And like he was just like, yeah, I know, dude. I'm just not in a fucking very good mood right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm fucking half high and tired. And he looked at me, and he's like, but I'm your friend. You know what I mean? And I was like, yes.
That's a good friend.
He helped me out. He helped me out because he knew what I was going through, right?
Yeah.
So he was like, I'm your friend.
That's the worst when you're that other person, when you're with somebody that's just like out of their mind and they're talking all this nonsense because you know they're just talking because their state of mind. So I've had way too many of those conversations. Those late night, high off your ass, just talking about how you love the world.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And then someone else is there like, I'm going to bed, man.
Yeah,
or whatever. It's only fun if you're both fucked up. I don't mind. So now
on the same level,
right? Now that I'm sober, and have been for a long time, a lot of people go like, doesn't it suck to be around a bunch of drunk people or people that are to a point? My answer is always to a point. Because if most people do not get belligerently drunk. You know what I mean? Like most people have a few drinks. Yeah, you get the vast majority of people just get at the most kind of tipsy because most people are normal. You know what I mean? Not most people aren't getting fucking blasted. And if they do, it's really at the very end of the night. So if people are super fucking drunk and they're loud and belligerent, that's obviously annoying. That shit is annoying. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is that, dude, most people are fucking normal, dude. Most people just have a few drinks and maybe they'll get a little buzzed. People aren't annoying when they're buzzed. People are annoying when they're just completely shit-faced.
Blackout, out of control.
Yeah, or like super high on something. You know what I mean? And I'm so oblivious to it because I forget sometimes. Like if someone's really high on something, because we deal with so many people that are getting fucked up, right? Like being at comedy clubs, like
every single open mic, there's somebody out of their freaking mind.
60% of the fucking people are on something, right? So I'll be talking to people and I'm like, God, why is this guy so fucking annoying? And then I'll remember, he's like high or like he's like really drunk. And I forget, you know what I mean? Because I stay the same, but everybody else will fucking progress throughout the night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm like that way with Coke. Like I always forget like
with
Coke. With
Coke.
Yeah, I forget like Coke's a thing. Cause
right.
I hate Coke. I feel like it's the most pointless. Well, to say that, like, meth, all of them are pretty pointless. But like Coke, really pointless. And I always forget how many people do that.
Yeah.
It always surprises me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, really? Why?
Dude, it's a big deal. Like it's a big thing to do because I remember, how old are you?
I'm actually about to be 30 in like.
Okay. So I'm a little older than, we're in the same
weeks.
age range, but I'm 36. Right.
Yeah.
So, same generation and shit, but just like a little bit different in age. My point is, dude, so like when I was doing hard drugs, like I was fucking 17, 18, like doing fucking heroin, doing speedballs, like hanging out with gutter punks, like, you know, and all this shit, doing all these hard pills and fucking then eventually like shooting up hard drugs. That was like a fucking big deal back then, bro. That was like crazy. Like, cause I went to high school with kids that got busted with weed and their parents freaked out and sent them to rehab. Like that was a big deal. Like that was a problem.
I remember those days.
Yeah. That was like a problem. That was a big deal, right? If you got caught like smoking too much weed. Let alone like when you were doing like fucking pills and like heroin and shit, that was like really crazy. Now I feel like that's like normal. Like high school kids that get hooked on heroin or something, it's like it's not that's good. Sad. You know what I'm saying? But it's not like as extreme as it was.
Yeah, you're not wrong at all. And that's really sad actually.
Yeah.
Because I feel like 60% of people that I went to high school with are hooked on something or have done something. And that's an insane amount of people. But like you get in these groups and, you know, one person starts to do it, the other person starts to do it. And then when you got a big enough group all justifying it, you know, everybody thinks it's the thing to do.
Yeah.
It's crazy how quickly it can spread.
Yeah.
And the thing is like with me, the funny thing is like people always expected me to be a drug addict, like hard drugs because my parents, because my brothers. But for me, like having that example of seeing them and like seeing how fucked up it made them, like when my dad would be like high off his ass. I mean, you see that and you're like, how do you want that? Like, how do you go after that after seeing that? So it's crazy to me to how many people still follow that path. And I'm like, I don't know for you what it was like what got you down that road?
Well, you know,
music industry.
Part of it, I mean, in terms of my like being stupid and being like really like being a kid and like thinking and not thinking clearly, which no one does, right? Like when you're fucking, you know, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, you know, like, so it was that combined with the fact like my dad's an alcoholic. So I don't know, man. The people go back and forth on genetics and all that shit. I don't know. To be honest, I have no idea. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's true or not, or maybe it skips a generation or something. But for me, I believe, because there's a lot of schools of thought on it. Like even in AA, there's like some people feel like, oh, I was a fucking alcoholic from the beginning because of how much cereal I ate, like when I was a kid. And then some people think,
that's a weird one.
Like in the big book, like in the literature, it even says like some people maybe weren't alcoholics before, but then they drank so much that they changed themselves, and you can't unpickle a cucumber. You know what I mean? You might have been a cucumber, but then somewhere along the line you got pickled, and you can't unpickle yourself. Now you're done. You're toasted, right? You can't unbake the cake. So I don't know which one it is for me, you know, but I think the big thing for me that I got caught up in was like, oh yeah, like fucking, like I want to be like all my heroes that do a bunch of fucking hard drugs. Yeah. You know, that typical kind of cliche thing. And, you know, then I got caught up in that. I think that was part of it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's a crazy thing that we accept too, right? Because like the more famous you are, the more like rock and roll you are, the more acceptable it is. Yeah. So, I mean, it's part of the lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, man. And now I feel like it's not really. I mean, people
it's definitely calmed down.
It's definitely, I think it's different. Yeah, it's definitely different. Like, because I think there's been a lot of lessons learned from a lot of people that have gone too extreme and like come back, and then people have died, and then the people that have survived, or a lot of them are fucking sober now. You know what I mean? Or they just don't party nearly as much as they used to. You know?
Oh yeah, you can't keep that up.
No,
that's just, you know, you burn through those times, and then you figure it out.
Yeah, dude. And then some people fucking just don't stop, dude. I hung out with a good friend of mine, man, from high school, like a couple years right before COVID. I hung out with him for the first time in years. And dude, I mean, he's the same age as me. We went to high school together. Dude, he's still just fucking. He's not like doing hard drugs or anything, but he is like just drinking and like smoking weed every day. And just nonstop, and then he'll do coke every now and then, and he's just. But it's like it's just constant, like every day, all day, steadily. Like he's doing something. Dude, you know what I mean?
That's exhausting.
Yeah,
it really is.
It is, and I'm not saying it to look down on him or saying I'm better or like saying like, oh yeah, he sucks. It was more just like a wake up call. It was like, holy fuck, dude, this guy is still kind of more or less doing the same thing he did 20 years ago, and it's like, dude, this is crazy. You know what I mean? You
don't realize how quickly time passes, right?
Yeah.
Like you get that routine, and then like 5 years, just gone. Just like that.
Big time, dude.
It's insane.
That's why, like, now more than ever, I'm trying to get an early jump on it in life. But you know, being in my 30s, like I'm like, dude. I mean, you're probably seeing it right now. Time starts to speed up so fast.
The amount of growth that I've had, I want to say growth. What I think maybe maturity in the last 10 days. Because every day, man, the closer I get to 30, I'm like, I gotta figure this shit out, right? Like I gotta grow up, gotta stop laughing at farts so much, you know. I'm a man now, right? Like it's weird for me because, like, growing up, you know, I grew up in a crazy household, so like I didn't have much of a childhood, and you know, with everything that went on, like I have my concept of time is just all fucked. So like. I've always felt like a kid, like just in my heart. You know, I don't know if I've ever grown up. So now it's finally to that point where I think that might have to change a little bit, maybe. Maybe open up a savings.
Yeah, I mean, because you know, I'm a believer in like the whole age is just a number thing, to a degree. Yeah. Like it kind of depends on what you got going on, and what stage, where you are in life. You know what I mean, like. Because, I mean, obviously, age isn't just a number if you're 30 and you're still living with your parents.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then it's like, dude, then it is a number. Then it is a number.
If you're trying to date a 15-year-old, age is a number you should consider.
Yeah, 100%. But I feel, what I honestly feel, though, man, like, if you share the same kind of passions as somebody, I really feel like age is just a number. Because, dude, when we go to these open mics, dude, the majority of people I'm friends with are fucking 19, 21, 23. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And, like, I don't even notice it. Now, if I go and like work with them in like a professional environment, or I go and like hang out with them outside of comedy, you know what I mean? Then the age difference is going to be apparent, because it's like, bro, you're just you're interested in things I've already done. You know what I mean? Like, and vice versa. Like, you're not interested in what the fuck I'm doing. You know what I mean? But when we're talking about comedy, like, there's no age. Yeah. It's literally like, bro, we all have the same interest.
Yeah, it's like a universal language, right? If you understand comedy, like it doesn't matter. Yeah,
it's pretty cool how that happens and how it brings it together. Because very few things can do that, I think.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
If you just look at like the mixture of guys that show up to these open mics, I mean, we got a good range of people. Yeah, and to get these minds in the same room, I mean, it's a fun thing to be a part of. Yeah, and to just sitting back and listen sometimes.
Oh yeah, who is your like, who are your inspirations? Like, who are your favorites? Like your top three, like like the ones that you know. Obviously, we know fucking George Carlin's great and Richard Pryor's great and all that great stuff. Yeah. But who are your people that you watched and went, God, man, like I want to do this?
You know, it's kind of funny. I didn't really watch like a whole lot of stand up growing up. You know, growing up, I knew Eddie Murphy as Dr. Dolittle. Like, when I saw his stand-up, I was like, oh, damn, he changed. Like, man. So, like, for me, I really got into comedy with, like, the early Kevin Hart stuff. So he's a really funny guy. Jimmy Carr is somebody that I watch, and I'm like, man, I wish I could be on that level of just sarcasm and smart-assness. Yeah. You know, that's something to aspire to. I feel like those two are like the two main guys that I go to. Okay.
Interesting, man. See, this is what another trippy thing that fucking blows me away. Because when you go to an open mic or you're around a bunch of comedians, you think like, oh yeah, we all got the same like frame of reference. We all got the same heroes. We all have the same people. Yeah. And it's so not true, dude. It's so not true. Everybody's got such a different palette. It's fucking crazy. like the Kevin Hart thing is something that I hear from, you're on the older end of the spectrum for the Kevin Hart thing.
Yeah, I feel like I am.
But when I talk to like fucking Jordan J or like anybody who's like in their early 20s or late teens, they always reference him, and that's definitely a generational thing.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's just funny because, so for me, who that is number one is Louis C.K. That's number one. Second is Daniel Tosh. And then third is probably a tie between like Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle. Like if I'm talking about like, man, watching these guys and be like, God, this guy's so good, man. Like that's so crazy.
Chappelle, I feel like Chappelle for me is like, he's just above everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, I don't think that's a level. Like I'm looking at the level just below that.
Right. I feel like in different ways, he's grown to stand for something that's even bigger than comedy.
He
just
doesn't do stand up anymore.
Right.
He does.
Right. He's like a public
lectures.
speaker. Yeah. It is true. He's like, and he's on that level. In terms of comedy, though, I feel, my personal opinion is, I feel like in terms of being just a master of comedy, I feel like him and Louis C.K. in the sense of like the purest form of like being a stand-up comedian are equals. They just have completely different styles and two different voices. Dave Chappelle stands for something bigger because of like who he is and who he associates himself with and what his personal beliefs are and how well he can weave those into what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? For sure. I agree with that 100%. He's way more of an icon. You know what I mean? And then fucking Louis getting caught jacking off to people didn't help. That didn't help.
That doesn't look good.
It didn't help him, you know what I'm saying?
And why? You know why?
Yeah.
There's no reason for that. You don't need to do that.
Well, I feel like, look, everybody's got their little kinks, their little fetishes, and their little things. He like,
you got to know somebody.
Yeah. And I mean, people have talked about this so much that are fucking, you know, way, you know, more famous than me. So I'm not going to fucking spend a lot of time on this, but yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. Yeah, you know what I mean? But yeah, he's definitely an inspiration. I feel, and I know a lot of comedy podcasts, a lot of comedians say this, you know, but to move down the list, Daniel Tosh for me, I feel like that guy as a stand-up, because Tosh.0 is so big and he was on TV for so long and stuff. I feel like as a stand-up, because he was a stand-up way before any of that, and that's where his roots are, he doesn't get the recognition he deserves, dude. Like that guy is so fucking good. And any comedian that's a solid, famous comedian that I've ever heard talk about on podcasts or whatever says that same thing. They're like, I've never heard anybody go like, nah, I don't know about Daniel Tosh. Like everybody's like, no, he's fucking good.
No, I've seen one of his stand-up shows, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, he killed it. He's hilarious. He's definitely a funny guy. There's one more guy that I'm thinking of. I can't think of his name. Anthony
Jeselnik?
Yes.
So Anthony Jeselnik, and that's what a lot of people try to say is like, Daniel Tosh, he's got that kind of Anthony. It's like, well, dude, no, he was famous before. He was big. He was way bigger before. Now he's older. Well, not by much, but he's in the same age range. But anyway, Daniel Tosh, he's got a completely. I disagree with that.
I think their tones, the way they approach it,
the darkness is equal. And yes, their tones and their voices are totally fucking different.
Yeah.
Like Daniel Tosh is way more fucking high energy and spitfire. Anthony Jeselnik, I love Anthony Jeselnik. I'm a fan for sure. But he's definitely more of like the one-liner. Like one thing after another and kind of like this cadence, and he plays this character. Daniel Tosh just gets up there and just fucking just goes all over the place with it. Yeah. Like, dude, completely serious. That special, that was his first big special in 2007. If you watch, I went and watched that about a month or two ago for the first time. Now that I'm doing stand-up comedy, seriously, I watched it for the first time in like fucking 10 years. And I'm sitting there now that I'm doing it stand-up multiple nights a week now, like, I sat there with my time for a sec, not the whole fucking time, but I was like, you know what? Let me fucking watch the time and see how many jokes. Dude, in the first 5 minutes of that special, bro, he fires off like 20 fucking jokes. Like, and that's the first 5 minutes. Like, I'm like, holy fuck, dude. Like, this is insane, dude. This guy's so good. But yeah, he's definitely like an inspiration in terms of that. But that's crazy. You didn't watch a lot of comedy growing up, huh?
No, yeah, I watched a lot of like Steven Seagal movies, you know, so I can maybe do some karate, probably, you know, maybe to his level.
Yeah,
he's a strange dude now.
Yeah, I know.
I know that guy. He was like, when I was growing up, I was like, he's one of the baddest dudes in America.
Isn't it funny who you think is a badass when you're like a little kid and you look back, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, and now it's like, dude, you kept the ponytail this whole time. Like,
yeah.
No, man. I didn't really do comedy. I've just kind of always been a smart ass, and like I've always tried to be funny. You know, that's kind of been just how I wanted to be my entire life, class clown, whatever. But it probably wasn't until like maybe my senior year in high school where I actually started to watch stand up. And then I didn't think about even doing it until a buddy of mine started doing it. And I was like, well, if he can do it, you know.
Isn't that what everybody always do? Are you a Shane Gillis fan at all?
I've heard his name, but I can't think of any.
That's cool. It's cool.
That stands out.
He's like newly famous in the sense that he got cast on Saturday Night Live, and then everybody went in an uproar about it because he was like a straight white male, and they started digging into his podcast and his fucking Twitter and all that shit. And then everybody made such a big thing about it. Yeah, they had to fire him, you know?
Damn.
So it was kind of a blessing in disguise though, because I'm a big fan. I listen to his podcast. Like I like him a lot. It kind of bumped him up. Now he's a headliner because of that. As a comedian, which is all he really cared about anyway, because he really just wanted to do stand-up. Yeah. So the Saturday Night Live thing was kind of a bummer, obviously. That's a fucking amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, to have that on your resume. So
to get it snatched from you, right, when you get it, that sucks for anybody. But the silver lining is he went from being like a feature comedian to being a fucking famous headliner now. Like, you know what I mean? So he just got a bump in his career.
That's
you know
all
what I mean?
It takes.
Yeah.
I just got to get fired from SNL.
Yeah.
All right, I can do that.
Yeah, so he was fucking. I'm trying to remember the point of bringing that up. So it was because when his buddy, he started doing comedy because his buddy went to an open mic, or maybe somebody he worked with or something. They went to go see one of their friends. It was some shit like that. And he went to the open mic. He's from Pennsylvania, so he saw it in Pennsylvania. And he was thinking he was like, I can fucking do this. I'm way funnier than this guy. But then he's like, but then I went up there and tried to do it about a month later, and I wasn't funnier than that guy. He's like, I fucking sucked. I realized how hard it was. I was horrible. He's like, I was holding the mic down at my fucking dick. You know what I mean? He's like, I wasn't even fucking like,
that was me. Yeah.
He's like, dude, I blacked out. I don't remember doing my first open mic because I was so scared.
That light just gets you, and you just
yeah. So like, it was just funny because everybody goes like, fuck that, I'm fucking, and then you get up there and you're like, oh shit, this is hard, dude.
Yeah,
you know.
See, I got lucky too because my buddy didn't even go up the first night I went up, so I was like, I just knew he had done it, so all I had to do was just outdo what I thought he could do. It's really funny because like when you go, and I've realized this recently, is that I need to go watch more like live comedy and watch more specials, because just going to open mics, you're never going to get like the full picture. And it was the person that made me realize that was Shiva Ari.
Yeah, Shiva's great. He's been on the podcast. We talked about heroin for a fucking hour.
It's funny because I've seen him do open mic shitload of times, right? And he kind of, he's laid back, he's not really giving his full energy. And that's all I judged him off of. And then I went to a show and I had no idea that he was going to be one of the opening acts. And he killed it. Like the way he controlled the room, all his jokes were landing. And I was like, there's levels to this shit. And I'm over here thinking like, okay, I'm doing okay at open mics. I'm probably on his level. And then I see him actually live, doing it for real, and I was like, no, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. And I feel like that's something I'm realizing now, is that's such a new guy mistake, because I've done the same thing. I feel like every new open micer does this. The new guy classic open micer beginner like closed-minded mistake is that you judge people's performance at the open mic and you think that's their quality as a comic, and you don't realize, no, dude, most of these people, maybe they'll throw something in that works, right? But just to practice it. But the majority of shit they're working on is new. Most of these people have a set of shit that's good, that's already done. They have it, right? Whether it's 15 or 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. They already have that. They already know it works. They're there to try new stuff, which is not always going to work. So you're seeing them fumble in the dark and try to put shit together. And then you, as a new guy, which I've done myself, you think like, oh, they suck. Like they aren't good. And it's like, no, you just don't understand what's going on. This is not a show for them. You know what I mean? This is a fucking practice session. This is like a workout.
I would do that if I saw like, you know, somebody who's I know has been doing it for like a couple years and they bomb. I'm like, okay, if I bomb, then it's fine, right? And then, but it's like, no, that's terrible. That's a terrible mindset because they, like you said, they have their shit. You're not even thinking about that. I have like, you know, a couple pages in a notebook where I'm like fumbling through, like, I have nothing to fall back on. You know, I've got a few jokes that, you know, usually get a laugh, but then I've even hit those, you know, those times where they don't work at all at open mics. You know, you get that crowd where it's like, no, that's never gonna work.
Yeah, dude. So, and I Shiva definitely has he's got that cool. He's definitely got like that laid back fucking attitude. I've seen him do sets multiple times. I helped with production on this show. I introduced him. I brought him on stage for the show that I was part of last month, and I've seen him perform his actual set like a bunch of times. Yeah. And it's great. He's definitely got like a voice. You know what I mean? He's on the way to the voice. Very fucking cool guy. But yeah, I'm in that tiny little baby stage right now, man, where I got 5. I got a solid 5, and I got a really decent 10. Right, if I needed to, but really, what I have like is like a 5. But I could do 10. I could do 10 with shit that would be. I could sit up there and do material for 10 minutes. Yeah,
I could fumble through 10.
Yeah,
for sure.
But 5 is really what I solidly have, and solidly a word. I don't know. Solidly,
you know, in my high school it would
solidly
fly.
Have,
so,
dude. I was gonna try to slip it under the rug, but I wanted to call myself out. So, that is what I got for sure. Right. So now I'm at the stage where it's like. I am like really trying more and more. I'm getting better and better and better at really just trying new stuff at open mics the most I can. And I know a lot of people go like, well, just sandwich it in. Start with something you know, and then try the new shit in the middle, and then end with something strong that you know will work. I do that sometimes too. Yeah. But I really try to do as much as possible being new stuff, right? Yeah. So I'm trying to do that more and more. And have you seen the comedy store documentary yet?
No.
They talk about that in there. They talk about how like all these like super famous comedians talk about how if you're not constantly trying new stuff and you're not taking risks and you're not bombing, you're never going to get really good. Basically, like that's how you get really good is you continuously throw yourself out there and try new shit.
Yeah, because there's a million things that don't work, so you got to eliminate some.
Yeah, dude. Like Chris Rock's brother is in it, and like he's talking about when he started comedy, he was like, you know, called Chris up, and his brother does comedy. If you didn't know, so
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's got a brother who does comedy.
Okay.
And he was like, I remember when I started, I was doing really well, and like I called Chris up and I said, man, I killed it. And then the next night, like, how'd you do? I killed it. Next night, how'd you do? Man, I killed it again. And he's like, are you doing the same material every time? And then he was like, well, yeah. You know, and he's like, nah. He's like, call me when you bomb. That's what Chris said. One of the best fucking comedians there is said that. You know what I mean? He's like, call me when you bomb, dude. You know, you're just doing the same shit. You know, you need to take risks. You need to do shit you don't know if it's going to work. Yeah. And then Louis C.K.'s in there talking about like, it's like a gambler. Like he's like, dude, if I do well at one place, like I need to go to the next place. I'm like chasing that high. He's like, and I need to do it until I bomb. Like I need to go somewhere to just like, I need to fucking continue to go until I fucking crash, until I lose the bet, you know? So, and I relate to that. It's true. Like you want to try to, all right, I did well here, but let me see if this is real. Let me see if I can fucking, you know, you got to fucking keep pursuing it.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm the opposite. Like if I start to bomb, I'm like, no, I got to keep going until I get some laugh. I'm not going to bed until I make somebody laugh.
Oh, dude, last week, man, I got scared. I was like, I'm gonna do all new shit, man, and I fucking was like, oh, it's the fucking anniversary. You know, there's a bunch of people here, the owner's here. I'm gonna fucking I fucking tried something new, and then I immediately went back. Oh, let me do all the shit that I know that works.
To the safety blanket.
Yeah, and then afterwards, I was like, God, I'm such a pussy, dude. I just fucking got scared, and I went back on it. Which, whatever. I'm brand new. It's okay to, because like, do you know who Alonzo Bowden is? Yeah. Okay, so he did I've known him forever because of AA. So he did my podcast like on the 5th episode or whatever the fuck it was when I first started this in the summer. I've known him for years, but this is the first time I've talked to him about comedy. And you know, he won Last Comic Standing, and he's been a professional stand-up comedian, a national headliner for fucking over 20 years, dude. You know what I mean? And he's done comedy since like 92 or something.
My whole damn life.
He's a fucking veteran. You know what I mean? He's buddies with Joe Rogan. Like he's a fucking comic. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, if you can come out of your first year of doing stand-up and you have solid 5 minutes, like if you got 5 solid ass minutes of comedy after your first year, he's like, you're doing the right thing. That's what he said.
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
That's what he said.
We might be on the right track here.
Yeah. He's like, you're doing the work, and you're in the right place. You're on the right track. That's what he said. So, I mean, that's good to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what's cool.
I need to get out and do a lot more new material. I got so much stuff I've been writing, but actually getting out and doing it. Because you write and you think you're the funniest person in the world.
Yeah.
Like, I laugh to myself all the time. And then I'll even start to like say the idea to somebody, and I'm like, I'm an idiot. I don't know what the hell I'm embarrassed.
Yeah. Dude, no, for sure, man. Do you ever listen to Ryan Perio's podcast?
No, I haven't checked it out yet.
So, Sum of All Fears. Check it out if you're listening to this.
I love the name, though. I've heard the name a bunch of times.
Right. Great podcast. I listened to a bunch of episodes. I did an episode a couple weeks ago. I don't know when the fuck it's coming out, but we recorded it a couple weeks ago, and he did mine. He did this podcast, but anyway, he's got an episode with Hakeem on there from like almost a year ago or some shit, and he talks about this with a lot of people. But he was like, every time you come up with a joke in your room, like in your house, and you write it or you get it in your head, and you're gonna go to the open mic that night, you think, I'm going to change the game tonight, man. He's like, those are his words. Like, I'm going to change the game. And then you get up there and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know what jokes are.
Yeah. You just, well, cause you're like, and they talk about that in the Comedy Store documentary too. It was, Liza Schlesinger talked about Schlesinger. They do a bunch of footage of her, dude. She tries huge fucking headliner, last comic standing, super famous. They show footage of her trying new shit out in the main room at the Comedy Store and having a joke not hit. And she's like, I need that. That's why I'm here. Yeah. I need your feedback.
Yeah. Cross that one off.
Yeah. And dude, it's like, cool. All these people are human. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
She talks about it. She's like, you can sit in your room and write a million fucking jokes all day, and you can like sit there and constantly try to think of new funny stuff. She's like, it doesn't mean anything until you get up there with the mic and you actually try to say it, because that's where you really, and that's so true, right? Because like, how many times have you thought of like, this idea is going to kill it, and then you get up there and you're like, because you need to figure out how to say it. You need to figure out how to position it. You even need to, how am I going to communicate this?
How are you going to get into it? How are you going to get out of it? Like, everything, man. And it's kind of funny because when I wanted to start, like I always wanted to like ask, like, what can I do? Like, what's the thing I need to do? How can I get better at this? I'd Google it, I'd YouTube it. And the thing that really it always came back to was get up and do mics. Like, that's the only way that you're going to get into it. That's the only way that you're going to grow, is you have to go and do it. That's it. Yeah. And that's kind of, and I used to hate that at first. When I first heard that, I was like, that's shit advice, right? Like,
there's got to be a better answer.
Yeah, you're not telling me anything, but you can't tell somebody how to be funny. You have to go try.
Yeah.
And work through it and figure it out yourself.
Well, that's another thing, talking about Shiva again. That's another good piece of advice he gave me is, we were talking this a few months ago, whatever. And, I've known him pretty much right when I was like a week in or 2 weeks in. I mean, I happened to come to an open mic that him and John Brown were at when I barely started. And he was like talking to me, not then, but a couple months later, he was talking to me and he was like, what you doing now, like whatever you think your style is or whoever you think you are or whatever, he's like, it's not going to be what it is. Like if you keep doing comedy for like, 3-4 years plus 5 years, what you end up turning into and what your style ends up being, or what it even ends up starting to form as, is like, it's going to be totally different than now. You can't even fathom what it's going to be. You just have to keep doing it until you mold into that. Yeah. He's like, and whatever you think it's going to be is not this. It's going to be something else if you stay in the game and you keep doing it. You know? And I understand that, and I believe that. You probably got your own set of reasons too. Me, once again, is because of AA, because of being sober. Because like the person that I was when I got sober is not at all like who I am now, and that's got nothing to do with age or like I've matured or anything. It's more just like the way you progress mentally. Because like
you've learned yourself.
Being an open micer new in comedy is very similar to being newly sober in AA. Because when you first get sober, I don't care if you're 45 or you're 15. If you get sober, every new guy or girl, like in their first like year, right?
Yeah.
You're like, dude, I want to get sober as fuck. Like, I want to get well. I want to get in the right state of mind. I want to get good. I want to get super sober. I want I want to have a lot of time.
Yeah.
But getting a lot of time sober takes time.
Yeah,
You can't rush it.
You can't replicate time.
No, you can't speed
sucks.
it up. You know what I mean? So it just takes time. You got to put the days and the months and the hours and the weeks in. You have to do that. Comedy is so... when I hear all that stuff, it doesn't discourage me because I have that frame of reference of recovery. So I'm like, this is like that.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking
Looking
marathon.
ahead. Yeah.
You can't rush it, dude. You just got to fucking ride it out and keep doing it. You know what I mean? Because that's the only thing.
Yeah,
that's just how it is.
And that's funny because, like, you know, you watch these Kevin Hart's now, like you watch Chris Rock now, and you think like these guys are gods. Like, it's funny how even like at the comedy club at Hyenas, like if there's a pro comic that comes in, like people will idolize that and like think like, oh, I need to become this. But it's like, no, you just need to become you. Just be better at you.
Exactly.
Like, they're just better at being them.
Yes,
So
because
just
what
be better at being
you're
you.
seeing now in 2021, bro, 15 years ago, that
watch
wasn't
their early stuff.
That
like-
wasn't them.
Watch Kevin Hart and Soul Plane. It's
yeah.
long ways, you know.
Yeah,
it's
it's evolution,
There's a lot
man.
of growth. And that's comedy demands growth. Like if you could just get up and do open mic and just be the greatest without ever like changing. I mean, you'd probably be the greatest comedian ever.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that.
Yeah, because like everybody that talks about like, are you a Legion of Skanks fan at all?
No, I feel like that rings a bell, but I know.
Yeah, it's Louis Gomez, Big J Okerson, Dave Smith, 3 comedians that have been friends for a long time, and they've all basically been doing comedy about the same amount of time in New York and stuff, and they've grown together, and now they're all pro comedians and stuff, and they got a fucking podcast, a big following. Anyway, Luis Gomez says, he's like, dude, there's no such thing as savants in this thing. There's no such thing as like a comedic fucking genius. He's like,
No.
Are there people that are more talented and become better comedians or better writers than other people? He's like, absolutely. He's like, do some people get funny faster than other people? He's like, 100%. He's like, that's true. But he's like, but no one fucking just walks in and is fucking great. He's like, I don't care what people say. You have to fucking just get good at it. Now, your journey of that and like how fast you get funny or like who you evolve into or how quickly you develop a voice or whatever the fuck. He's like, you know, that's different for every person and different for every talent level. But he's like, dude, everybody has to fucking fall on their face and learn lessons and suck and like fucking fail. He's like, no one doesn't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's so many different people that you have to appeal to as a comedian. Because like you're not going to go into one place. Well, I mean, maybe in some bars you'll go into a place and it's all the same type of people.
Yeah.
But at a comedy show, that's everybody. And then especially with today, you know, people are a little sensitive. So the things you have to tiptoe around and figure out how you can make people understand you're funny. That's a tough thing to do. And I thought like if you're, well, you know, the first time, you know, I did it, like I thought like, you know, if you're just funny, you're just funny.
Yeah.
But
that's what I thought
not
too.
The case.
Like,
Like,
I was
no,
like, if you suck, you just suck, man. That's it. Yeah.
Like, yeah, if you can make somebody laugh, you can do it all the time. No, it's not. Even if you try really hard sometimes.
Yeah. It's different. And being a funny guy in the room or at a party or when you're hanging out with a group of friends is so different from being funny on stage. So different. Kevin Hart talks about that, dude. You ever listen to Comedy Goldmines, his podcast? Yeah. He talks about that. I forget which episode it is, but he's like, dude, I had to learn because he's like, I was always the funniest brother, the funniest cousin, the funniest family member at the barbecue. He's like, and then so I thought that was going to transfer to the stage, and I got up there and I fucking failed. Like I bombed for a long time. He's like, I had to learn, you know, being fucking 21, 22, I had to learn how to be funny on stage. And he's like, being funny on stage is not the same as being funny just when you're out and about with your buddies.
It's a lot harder to translate. Because, when you're with people, you know, they know you, they get you, but, you know, stage full of strangers, you got to prove everything.
Yeah.
They're not going to just give you, Yeah,
man.
It's tough, man. This is probably one of the toughest things that I've ever done because you have to constantly work at it and try. It's like a puzzle that just keeps changing.
No, it is, dude. And like, that's why I love it. And why I've always, first of all, so music was my first thing. I was like, I'm going to be a musician. I'm going to be a fucking, you know, I was like a drummer. I played drums forever. And then I switched to vocals in my 20s. And like, I've been in the music business for a long time. I've played live countless number of times, been on a bunch of fucking tours. So like the live performance thing isn't new for me, but I'll tell you, dude, I've always loved and admired and worshipped comedians. I've always been a closet comic my whole life because I've watched stand-up comedy religiously pretty much since I was like fucking maybe like early like, you know, adolescence or like teens. Always watch comedy specials. My mom would always rent shit from fucking Blockbuster, wherever the fuck. I'd watch Chris Rock specials. I'd watch all kinds of different comedians, right? And be like, oh man, this guy's so fucking funny. Dave Chappelle, fucking everybody, and be just, God, this guy's so amazing. I watch Comedy Central habitually. I always watch Premium Blend. I always watch Comedy Central Presents. I loved stand-up comedy, but I never thought that I could do it. I was always like, these people have to be, because it's the craziest art form that I think is the most amazing to me because it's just fucking you up there.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have like you might have jokes you memorize, but you don't have lines. You don't have music to accompany you. You know what I'm saying? Like this is just at its core. This is you standing up there with a fucking microphone, and it's just you.
Yeah.
There's no special effects.
Here's my thoughts.
It's fucking, and so to be good at it and to pull that off and to entertain people for fucking 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour, fucking with just you entertaining them with no soundtrack, no special effects, nothing behind you. Dude, to me, bro, that's like godlike to me. That's fucking God level power, like talent and God level fucking just capability right there, dude. To me, I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Like I watch stand-up comics like that I loved, and I'm like, this guy's amazing. This guy's fucking if you take a step back and you're like, this guy's entertaining people with just him. He's building this whole thing out of a fucking, or he or she is building this whole thing with a fucking microphone. Dude.
Progressive.
That's it. Yeah, progressive, right? He or she.
Gotta get that in.
Yeah. Dude, like, no, because there's some amazing fucking female comedians out there, dude. Like, and it's fucking great. It's crazy to me. Yeah. That's insane.
When you can see a comic just hold a room, you know, just take a pause. You're right. That is art. And that, man, I'm like you. I didn't think it was possible, especially because like nobody told me like growing up like that was a thing. Like I thought like there's just special people out in the world, right? Like all these comics are just really special people, and they just get found, and here they are. And then just learning about open mics and seeing the process, and man, it's hard to say anyone can do it.
Yeah.
But it definitely, if anybody's willing to do it, you know, it's there for the taking, and it's an awesome thing. And it's crazy because it feels like, you know, there's so many people trying, right? Like it feels like everybody's trying to be a stand-up comedian right now. There's so many damn people at
I think that's a perception that's easy to have. That's what kind of doing it years ago for a second taught me versus now. Because it's like so many more people have gotten successful since 2012, obviously. Like when I fucked around and did those mics in that bar show. And so many people, like the podcasts are way bigger than they were. They were barely existing at all in their infancy back then, like compared to the level they are now.
Podcasts.
And dude, I mean, people are big professional comedians that are headliners now that just were barely starting out back then. So my perception is kind of like, dude, if you're anything that you're involved in, it's going to seem like everybody's trying to do it because it's what you're in the middle of.
Oh yeah.
Like if you go fucking, dude, I had a buddy who was a super fucking tough guy, fucking trainer, did like a bunch of different martial arts styles. He went off to St. Louis to try to be a fighter. And I guess that was like a big hub at the time for like everybody's trying to get plugged into UFC. And he's like, dude, everybody's trying to be a fighter. And it's like, well, that's your perception. That's because you're surrounded by 100 guys that are trying to be fighters. So yes, your perception is going to be that everybody's going to be trying to be a fighter. But here's the thing, dude. Everybody starts trying to do something, but how many people are left at a year? How many people are left at 2 years? How many people are left at 5? Dude, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Everybody might want to try to do something. You know what I mean? Everybody goes out and buys a fidget spinner, right? Yeah. But who's still fucking got that shit? You know what I'm saying? It's like 6. A lot of people, you know, right? I mean, so it's about sticking with it, dude.
Oh, absolutely.
And we've stuck to this podcast to the point where we've gone way over an hour.
Hey, that's what we do. We stick with things. All right.
No one has stuck with us. No one's still listening, but we fucking stayed.
They're all asleep at this point. We just lulled them.
We're here.
To a restful dream. So it's beautiful.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate you coming by. You'll have to come by again when I got everything rolling at 100%.
Yeah, get the TV up, get some Super Mario going or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe. Super Mario. Yeah, dude.
It'd just be an hour of people breathing. Go, no, jump.
Yeah, that's, I don't know, man. Fuck. That'd be rough.
There's probably a market for it.
Yeah. ASMR, Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
But cool, man. Yeah, thanks for coming by.
Yeah,
everybody
man,
that's listening, man, I love everybody tuning in. Thank you so much, everybody that's listening. Let's keep building Crux Nation. Crux, yeah.
Let me hear you say Crux,